action for Assange today and tomorrow, important days. And so we have a program of speakers and information today. So thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you everyone for coming out, and especially some of the people involved in DC Action for Assange who were not able to be here today. We have Ann Wilcox, who's over in London, and one of our stalwarts who started our peace vigil, Paula, up in Boston, who is behind the scenes doing a lot of work as well. I ask everybody the fact that he is a human, he has a family, he has a brother and parent, and keep him in our hearts and prayers as his health is not the best. So just taking a moment for joining me. In Australia. So we have a few speakers lined up, but we'll start just with some introductions and a little bit about Assange. They're under threat of being imprisoned, prosecuted, and tortured. Assange did nothing more than publish truthful information. Protect WikiLeaks is based out of Iceland. Assange has been under threat for too long. The loss of freedom began over 10 years ago and intensified 4 years ago when he was further attacked and punished, being put in Belmarsh prison in solitary confinement. Let us also not forget that Assange is a human being with a soul that wants to make the world better by spreading truth and showing the masses what is really going on. He's also a father, son, and husband with a family that wants nothing more for him to be released and come home to Australia. At any point, officials at the Department of Justice and Attorney General Merrick Garland could choose to drop all charges in the pursuit to extradite Assange to the United States to prosecute him for journalism and freedom of the press. Please continue to. It is not being taught to them in schools.
Thank you, Brian. The DC actually are across from Merrick Garland's home, going to the White House to have our vigils and the rallies such as what's taking place today. There's a House resolution. Journalist activities do not have a lot of this interests you. Founder of Code Pink, Women for Peace. She's an activist, author of a dozen books, including drone warfare, involved in, as well as our concern about Julian Assange.
Martha, can we move everything down? Can we move everything down?
No, that's a good idea. No, you're right. They're just moving down so they're away from that loud ventilation.
Oh, yeah, I see, yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah?
So.
Yeah, much.
So while we are out here today, the UN is holding its painfully vetoing that resolution. And it makes, we only have, unfortunately, to look back at the last 2 decades with the U.S. committing war crimes directly in Iraq. Bush, Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, Condoleezza Rice commit war crimes and yet never, ever, ever be held accountable for those. Think about the U.S. involvement in torture and abuse, who died because of U.S. lies, and even Hillary Clinton for her crimes as Secretary of State. Nothing. No idea, but we know that it's the powerful that get away with these criminals. Julian Assange, the one who wanted the world community wishing in prison. Here he is. But when we have to reflect on how unjust it is that the truth tellers are the ones that
That's right.
and we know he has done nothing wrong. I'll celebrate the release of Julian Assange and be able has been doing. Thank you. Free Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange. Arrest the war criminals. Arrest the war criminals. No extradition. extradition!
No extradition!
No extradition!
No extradition!
Thank you.
Thank you, Medina. On the ground, voices of resistance from the nation's capital. Thank you. And please tell us more about
I'm here with you today, and you know, my heart is broken in so many ways as a journalist who being slaughtered, being hit with napalm, you know, being tortured in our incursion in that country, in our attack on that country. It made a big difference. Similarly, right now, when people corporate news organizations, right? So in front of us, a genocide, men, women, and children murdered, maimed, tortured, starved, more than a decade ago, about Israel's intentional genocide of the Palestinian people. In 2008, Israel told U.S. officials that Israel would keep Gaza's economy, quote, on the brink of collapse, end quote, at a level just above that of economic officers on multiple occasions, that they intend to keep the Gazan economy on the brink of collapse without crisis, end quote. Shame! 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 In fact, on the ground in Gaza, international aid agencies warned that ordinary life was becoming intolerable. Quote, it is causing an ongoing deterioration in the social, economic, and environmental detriment. Elderly are the first victims. The cables continue. People in Gaza are rapidly running out of food, fuel. It is preventing patients with serious medical conditions from getting timely, specialized treatment. The agencies highlighted the case of a student. Shame! Shame! So I just want to say, like Medina said, instead of Julian Assange, dock at the head. We know that Ben Gvir and Smotrich need to be investigated for war crimes. They are criminals, but Julian Assange is a journalist. So I'm just here to say the Global South down. And lastly, as Congress and Biden try to send more money, understand that Julian Assange called it what it is. He called it a money laundering.
We have more guest speakers, and this is an open mic, so everyone is welcome to say something. But before we have more speakers, I would like to introduce Sister Lucy Murphy, who we giving her art to the people. She's performed throughout the world, including songs in many languages. She sang with the Black Workers Chorus, the People's Music Network.
We shall not
be moved.
We shall not,
be moved.
just like a tree, we shall not be moved. Drop the charges, we shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's planted by, not be moved. Free Assange, we shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. A tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be. The people are united. The people are united.
We shall not be moved.
The people are united.
We shall not be moved.
Just like a tree.
Not be moved.
United in the struggle.
We shall not be moved.
Just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not, like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be. And now back to Martha.
Thank you, Lucy. Our next guest speaker is Eleanor Goldfield, and she is a creative radical, filmmaker, journalist, producer, editor. She also hosts with Common Centered, with Lee Camp, Common Centered, a weekly radical newscast. For some of her creativity, go to.
I had to share something because I got this question a lot when I have covered Julian Assange or when I've spoken out about Assange, particularly at a time when just down the street, monsters parading as human beings are sending more and more money is important. Because yeah, he is one man. And he is one man whose actions shifted, well, because he opened governments and he wouldn't stop. He forced the empire to stare down its own glaring inadequacies and vicious lies by exposing it for what it is, not a beacon that are lacquered and paraded to us as strengths. The inherent fragility of the cables that WikiLeaks shared about and from Israel. Some 14 years before this current genocide began. And guess what? He was also accused of this maze of propagandized suffering and named the architects. And that shit is unforgivable. And all that is why this one man is being tortured and silenced by the largest to keep the threads of life alive in underground mycelial networks of precious lines, encrypted notes, whispered heartbeats, and promises. This is precisely why Israel has murdered some with precise truth tellers are that dangerous and scary to the ruling power. So yes, Assange is one man. He is one man whose fate marks the fate of countless others, whose fate is inextricably linked for espionage, that people in this building, on this street, in this city, in this empire will officially have. Man's fate is not only vital for all those who want to tell the truth, but
another guest speaker for DC delegate, and so much more. So please let us know what you're up to as well as.
Thank you. Thank you. Peace to everybody that's here and the sound of our voices. I'm a black man in therapy, and yes, I am a congressional candidate for the 34-year incumbent Eleanor Holmes Norton. I don't take pride in this city. She was the number 2. She was one of the leaders of the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa, who's unwilling to even say the word ceasefire on the genocide that's happening now in apartheid Israel. I wish shame was enough, because some of the things that we have to wrestle with, and we have to realize who we are really dealing with. Italy had 17 years of so-called peace in its entire, have to constantly expand. The moment they stop expanding, they are contracting, and we're witnessing in real time. The number 2 is them in the last election. So they're the top 2. That is the desperation of this system to perpetuate. Some of y'all might think this is just the angry black man in therapy part, but I just spoke to my therapist, so America is to be in a perpetual state of rage. All right, get rid of one without getting rid of the others. The whole structure of American life must be changed. He says you have to start with the truth. The truth is the only way that we can get anywhere, because any decision upon a lie. There was no weapons of mass destruction. And if they were, guess who gave it about to bomb the world? Why did they go to Libya? Why did they go to establish a timeline? Here's a timeline for Iraq. Saddam had committed to switching from using US dollars and trading his oil with euros. That is why European Union wasn't on the euro. That's when they invaded. When Gaddafi said he was no longer accepted, they have brought democracy. They have improved the situation. They have brought freedom. What are you? What? Best schools, the best roads, the best hospitals, the best everything. It would be DC has twice the illiteracy rate. DC has twice the child poverty rate. Peace and justice. One of them is Vienna, Austria. I urge everybody to look them up. Vienna, Austria, who by the way, was funded by the Marshall Plan, i.e. U.S. taxpayers' money to rebuild after the war. It's just that they did one of the best jobs with the money in Vienna, Austria. They don't have homeless people in Vienna, Austria. Nobody pays more than 30% of their income in housing in Vienna, Austria. And you know why? Because they have an equal system. They have to keep these people down. I don't want those people to have what I have. That's why we're the only industrialized nation that doesn't have health care. Julian Assange is a journalist that was exposing war crimes. Let's tell it all the way truthfully what we're dealing with. We're dealing with the fall of the modern day Roman Empire, because the moment it stops expanding, it will contract, it will fall. And we need to understand that. But unfortunately, a wounded animal is a very dangerous animal, and we're dealing with a very wounded. That Cornel West said it best. He says that Joe Biden will lead us to World War III. Donald Trump will lead us to a supreme opportunity for a third party to raise his head, and we should have a record turnout for third-party candidates in this election. We should no longer be subscribing to the lesser of two evils. We should not be shamed into holding our nose and casting our ballot for war crimes to be committed in our names just because the other guy is worse. I want to understand that if fake stage, that will break the two-party political system monopoly. The last time it happened, and at that time, it was only 2% of the national popular vote was required. That's why he's able to buy his way into it. Now they raised it to 5%. But I tell you, if you do not want to vote for Biden, and if you do not want to vote for Trump, you do have another option. It's not paper or plastic, it's system. We have the blueprint. Martin Luther King said it best. A nation that spends more on war than on social uplift is approaching spiritual doom. So prisons, Julian Assange, and it cannot be a truer statement spoken. U.S. taxes are killing people in Palestine. U.S. taxes are subsidizing the genocide of the Palestinian people and wars around the world. And Alexander, to address this system, is just a question of what we are willing to do and what is going to work. And we have to become cogs in the machine if we really want to change. Mumia Abu-Jamal, another imprisoned journalist. For the sake of Julian Assange, another imprisoned journalist. And all political prisoners around the world. And those who are dying at the boot of this military-industrial complex for profit. May we be victorious in our efforts to change this system in our lifetime. Thank you, and free them all.
Free Julian Assange!
Free Julian Assange! We have an opportunity for an open mic, and I know a few people do want to say something before we conclude with Lucy.
Hold it to your mouth.
Right to your mouth.
And I need everybody here needs to know he will free Assange on the first day of his presidency. Right now we are gathering signatures in Maryland. If we get enough signatures, he'll be on the Maryland general ballot. Do that in your registered voters, see me, and I'll make sure that we add your name to those petitioning for a choice on the November ballot.
He does not support the Palestinians.
Yes, so
the dissent. And my colleague Chip Gibbons is over in London covering the Assange hearing today at 5 o'clock to give us his analysis to remind us of how we're missing the voice of Julian Assange. Represents is press freedom for us all. And if he is convicted, if he is extradited, free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Martha.
if there's anybody else who would like to speak before we call on Lucy.
My name is John Kelly. Just a couple thoughts. One, we're standing in front of the Department clip just the other day of Julian, this was many years ago, and not only is Netanyahu complicit in what's going on, the people down at the end of the street complicit in what's going on, but years ago, Julian accused the press, his fellow journalists.
Department of Injustice.
If there isn't.
Thank you all for being here. It's really comforting to be with supporters of Julian. Not only stunning how few people in the public and how little they are taking a foreign journalist, because if they can take Julian, they can take press journalists that are on their territory and US journalists and do the same.
We who believe in justice cannot rest until it comes. We who believe in justice cannot rest, cannot rest. We who believe in justice cannot rest until it comes. The older I get, the better I know that the secret of my going on is when the reins are in the hands of the young who dare to run. We who believe in justice cannot rest until against the storm. We who believe in justice can until it comes. Struggling myself don't mean a whole lot. I've come to realize that teaching others cannot rest, cannot rest. We who believe in justice cannot rest until it comes. Sometimes I can be quite difficult. I'll bow to no man's word.
Justice cannot rest.
Cannot rest. We who believe in justice cannot rest until it comes.
But listen, we are in an area just 1 block over. They will auction us off from here, right across the street over there. The other plantation led the effort for justice. And we just want to let you know that you are in a neighborhood where they auction us off. And if you ever saw the movie 12 years of prison, 12 years a slave, so you can see we have experience of fighting for justice and getting it, even if it's not 100%. Thank you.
Join us all together for a group photo. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. This is extremely important today and tomorrow.
Let's put that in the back.
Can we get everybody on this side, short people to the front? Tall people to the back.
Get the banner come forward, then people can get one of the beers. I think it's good. Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! No extradition! No extradition!
Where can we find any photos?